Hi everyone, Andy here at Spymaster Gaming. Welcome back to the channel and a very warm welcome if it's your first time joining us. In today's video, I'm going to be discussing the pros and cons of the new edition of Kill Team and why you might want to consider or even reconsider picking it up when it comes out. But before I go any further, please consider liking the video and subscribing to the channel. Anything you can do to help grow it would be greatly appreciated. So, Kill Team 3.0. I mean, it's technically 4.0. I think there was a box set in 7th edition called Kill Team, which was just a small-scale version of 40k. But ignoring that, it's 3.0. It is upon us imminently. The starter set has been revealed, and it is very, very good value for money. £67.50 if you buy directly from Games Workshop, just over $100. And then if you factor into your friendly local game store discounts of 20%, you're looking at about £50 or just under $100. So for that, you are getting quite a lot. You're getting 2 kill teams, 1 Primaris Marines, 1 Death Guard, as well as some nice MDF Terrain, which I'm going to come on to as a separate point later, because I think that is a step change in the right direction for Games Workshop, and I cannot praise them enough for that. But I'm not going to derail my thought at the moment. We'll come back to it. Then we've got tokens, some basic rules. Can't call it core rules, but again, that's another point for later. So quite a lot what you're getting for the money. So the models. This is the first bone of contention I have with the products. The models are really, really nice on one hand. They are all unique sculpts. They are very, very characterful, and you can actually see them as like 2 squads of hardened veterans who've seen some stuff, basically fighting on the tabletop. Really nice. But it's also a massive issue I have, because these are not new sculpts. These originally came out as blister packs that you would buy blind. You wouldn't know what model you were getting. All you'd have is essentially a cardboard box with a picture of an artist's interpretation of a Space Marine, artist's interpretation of a Death Guard Marine on the front, and you wouldn't know what model you were getting. And people were paying quite a lot of money to ensure they were completing their collections, whether it be buying whole boxes of the models and then even still not being able to complete it in the first instance because the variation wasn't there in one sort of crate. And then having to buy it on the second-hand market as well at an inflated price, just so that they could satisfy their collectible sort of mindset, which a lot of us have in the hobby. For Games Workshop to turn around and what was essentially marketed as a sort of like a collectible sort of one-off limited run thing, to then say, no, you can just buy it off the shelf as a standard product as part of the core range for Kill Team, I think is a massive slap in the face for those people who invested that money. And we're not even talking about too long ago. It's not like years and years have gone by. We're looking about like 18 months, if that. So it makes me hesitant. I will praise the sculpts, as I already have done. I think they're very, very nice. And for people who didn't buy those miniatures in the boxes, happy days. You have made the right decision from a sort of a financial perspective, because you can pick it up cheaper now. So hats off to you. But for those of you who did buy those boxes, I'd be feeling a bit salty. I didn't buy them personally because that whole element of buying blind, sort of like a blister pack trading card game model, when I first saw that infiltrating the hobby, it had me concerned. I'm not knocking anyone who does buy trading card games or, buys packs of cards. That's absolutely fine if that's your hobby. But there is an element of gambling to it. And personally, I don't like it. And I don't think it has a place within wargaming. I would rather, with the amount of money that you're spending on plastic figures, know exactly what you're getting at all times. So, bit salty about that. Let me know in the comments down below. Do you think I'm overreacting? Also, it seems... I'm not an expert in consumer law, but it seems like it would be illegal, almost like false advertising. But again, don't have a background in it. Unethical at minimum. Illegal at worst, shall we say. But anyone who knows else, otherwise, just let me know in the comments down below what you think. So that covers the models. Then we have to talk about the rules. So the rules, a bit of a double-edged sword as well. So it's not a full rule book. In every iteration of Kill Team that we've had to date, there has been a full rulebook. In this, you are getting the profiles for the teams within the box, so the Space Marines and the Death Guard. And then you are getting some basically, minimal scenarios that you can play through with the 2 Kill Teams. But it cannot be advertised as a complete product in of itself. You need to then go and buy the rulebook on top of that. So at most, you're going to be able to play a few scenarios with the teams in the box. And then you'll have to fork out another... probably £30, $60, Don't know about the prices, sorry, but with the trend of Games Workshop, that's probably what we're looking at on top of what you've already purchased. And again, so I think it's a bit misleading to say that it is a true starter set from what we've seen before. If anything, they've stripped out a key component, which is the core rulebook. And if we look at the previous editions of Kill Team, I want to go back to the precursor to Kill Team, which was Shadow War Armageddon. Now, this came out in 2017. It had a lot of criticism at the time because it was using old Space Marine Scout sculpts and old Orc Boy sculpts. There wasn't any new models within it, apart from the nice sort of. It was the first use of the plastic terrain for like the mining facilities, I think it was, and that really took people. They were like, oh my goodness, this is the best terrain we've seen in ages. So people bought it for the terrain alone. But the rule book, even to this day, I have it here. Now this, to go with the box set as a self-contained product, was wonderful. You had the, obviously set on Armageddon, but you had the core rules for the three main factions, the poster factions, which were the Space Marines, the Imperial Guard, and the Orcs. But then in the back of it, there was a whole sort of appendix for all of the different model ranges to date. You had the Kill Team rules, Shadow War rules for Tyranids, for Skitarii, as they used to be called before they became sort of the Admech as a whole, Inquisition, Grey Knights. Basically, every other faction had its own team in here, and it was a self-contained product. You could buy this book, and with your existing models, that's it. You could play for absolutely ages, coupled with the fact that it was based on the second edition of Necromunda rules, so it was a really solid rule set, and that's what I'd want to see from this. Unfortunately, all you're getting in this, as I've said, is the profiles for the teams within the box, and one of the steps that they made towards second edition Kill Team was obviously moving away from the build your own kill teams. It has to be one of the variants that come within the box. You have a set roster, and they're very much continuing ahead with this. The kill teams are prescribed rather than you decide what you want to go in your kill team. And it's upsetting because I think it's sort of a devolution, really, of the game. It's not a positive to say, well, we've stripped out this element of it. For the second edition, they started with a compendium that you bought at the start of second edition, and then they bolted on those new kill teams as well. And third edition, it seems that compendium's gone by the wayside, and now all you have to do is buy these sort of loadout teams, and that's what the game is going to be going forward. So you're obviously going to have to buy all the supplements for the teams coming out as well. So not ideal in my mind. I think to go from where you're looking at 6-7 years ago, where they had a self-contained product, really, really well thought out, it feels like they're going backwards. But might just be me. Let me know what you think. Positives, though. We talk about the MDF terrain. Now, a lot of people will say, oh, it's not hard plastic terrain, it's not worth it. Pre-painted MDF terrain is wonderful. I'm very happy about it because it's really easy to transport. You can break it down easily enough. It doesn't take up too much storage space in comparison to the built-up plastic terrain. And it looks good. Now, pre-printed MDF is quite new on the market still. It might have some issues with it. Obviously, I haven't had a copy of this to review, but on the surface of it, it looks like it will be quite durable. And I think just for getting some basic terrain on the table at an affordable level, this could be very, very good going forward. I don't know whether it will create a two-tier system of people who can afford all the plastic terrain and then people who just want the MDF terrain who can't potentially afford the plastic terrain. But even if you take the affordability element out of it, it's practical, it looks nice, and it does the job. And that's all you need, really. So more of that, please, Games Workshop. Really, really positive on the terrain front. I think my main concern with this third edition, though, is it's the underlying question I have with every Games Workshop product at the moment. Is it strictly necessary? And I ask this because we know that the main systems of 40k and Age of Sigmar, they are wedded to a 3-year cycle of turning out a new edition. But this now has fallen into that 3-year cycle as well, and I can't help but feel whether the decision is a bit arbitrary just to make sure that they have something to put out at the end of 3 years. If we look at the improvements made for 2nd edition, where they brought in wacky mechanics of shapes for movement, so you could say, I will move a circle, or I will move 2 squares, or the nonsense that was, to then strip it back and market it as something new, where essentially it is just the same case as what it was in the Kill Team 1st edition. It reminds me very much of the whole new Coke analogy. Start off with Coke being Kill Team, bring in new Coke for the 2nd edition Kill Team, everybody hates it. Revert back to Coke for 3rd edition and say that it's something new, and then sales go boom. Call me cynical, but I don't know whether that was an intentional business decision to just differentiate the 2nd edition enough to say that it's worth buying a new edition and then strip it back to, again, make it different again. Seems very, very sort of slapdash. Again, it might be being a bit too critical there, but that's just how I see it. What do you think? Are you looking at picking up this Kill Team? Do you think that they've moved too far away from what Kill Team as a game should be? Let me know in the comments down below. It'd be really good to get your opinion on this. Thanks very much for watching. If you've liked the video, please give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing to the channel, and I'll see you on the next one.